Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Sorry, we're a little late getting started. Give it a few minutes here for everyone to file in. And then we will get started in 2 more minutes. Tyler, is my audio coming through okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Right. Share my screen. All right, let's get started. So thank you all for joining this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. I'm here with Tyler, who's on my team. Tyler will be manning the chat. And today we're here to talk about HomeBot and how we can help real estate agents with their business. You might be a real estate agent on this call, invited by one of your prime loan officers. You might be a loan officer here to learn about HomeBot in this context, because I know you've received a bunch of training about how to use this in your own business, but really nothing yet about how to help your agents with HomeBot in their business. So this is really tailored to the real estate agents in the room. And then loan officers, if you need help, after you see this, you want to get some help involving, marketing this new technology to your agent partners, please do reach out to us and we'll provide our contact info in the chat here. I'm going to talk about HomeBot and just where we came from. Bit of a sales pitch here for like 8 minutes, nothing lengthy. And then we're going to get into a demo and best practice. All in all, probably about 35 minutes of content here. And then lots of time for Q&A. If you all want to put your questions in the chat, Tyler will address them as quickly as he can. And then I'm going to pause throughout here and make sure we loop back to some of those questions that Tyler flags as important. And I'm going to raise a few questions that I often hear from agents as well. So let's sort of start with what HomeBot is, where we came from. HomeBot has been around for about 8 years. And the founder of our company, Ernie Graham, he actually used to be a real estate broker, ran the MLS in Colorado for a little while, and then went to go work for Realtor.com around 2008, 2009. And we can all kind of silently hiss and boo, right? Because we all know what Realtor.com represents today. But he was struck at his time Realtor really with what was happening in technology and real estate. Sort of unprecedented when you looked at what was happening with technology elsewhere, right? Nowhere else can you buy leads. Nowhere else is that really a thing where people are capturing consumer activity and then selling it back to the salespeople who serve them. And he just thought it was wrong, right, in his history. So at Realtor, he proposed that their answer to Zillow would be, let's just sell technology, right? Let's not sell leads. Let's take all the data that's available to people through portals like Zillow, like portals like LendingTree, right? And let's consolidate that into technology that is really educationally focused and that real estate agents can use to bolster their existing relationships with customers and generate their own leads. Obviously, Realtor.com didn't do that, but he thought it was a good enough idea that he spun out and started HomeBot at that time. So that was really the birth of HomeBot. It was Someone who'd been in real estate for a very long time, seeing what was happening with Zillow, coming up with an answer, and then ultimately pursuing that answer on his own and starting this company. And today that really remains foundational to our mission here at HomeBot, right? That by and large, equity in single family properties in America is the largest asset class, right? People are retiring on home equity. Our job as real estate professionals and lending professionals is really to be stewards of that equity and make sure that that wealth moves through our population in a way that benefits everyone, right? And if you go online, you're going to see your house is worth more than it is. You're going to see monthly payments that are totally inaccurate. And the reason those systems are designed that way is to capture those leads, capture that attention so that they can sell it back to you. And HomeBot works differently, right? We're trying to display that similar information. We use the same base data as all those sites, but we display conservative figures, right? Because we're really trying to educate people through all the steps of their home ownership journey, whether that be buying, um, cashing out, refinancing, tapping equity to do home improvement or buy an investment property, selling their home at the right time, right? All the different things that you coach your customers on. HomeBot is trying to feed all of that to the homeowner, but in a conservative way that doesn't really disseminate the relationship between you and your customer. It helps it, right? It brings them closer to you in the process. And 9 years later, we have about 10 million people who receive this report every single month from their agent and or loan officer. And that's because real estate agents have really learned to trust us, right? HomeBot does not go consumer direct. So when you put your data into our tool, we do not own it. We do not own any rights to it. We do not do anything with it. And if you were to leave HomeBot, we would delete it. If we did anything other than that, you could sue us, right? The only way someone gets HomeBot is from their agent, and that builds a tremendous amount of trust in the industry. The other thing, right? The other thing that builds trust is that customers really love receiving this report. On average, across those 10 million people who get HomeBot, 50% of them click into the email and view their report every single month. And what does that tell us? It tells us that these people don't think about HomeBot as marketing. They don't think about it as, a newsletter or something like that. They think about it as a tool that you're providing them access to. The other thing that points to that is that we have a less than 2% monthly unsubscribe rate. You think about email marketing that you do, right? Campaigns that you might not even see that go out from your brokerage. What other campaign have you run that gets a 50%, not even open rate, but click-through rate? And that's really telling. And if you talk to your loan officer who's using HomeBot with their past borrowers, probably there's overlap there with some of the customers you've worked with, right, with them. They're going to be able to show you what's happening in their account and show you those open and click-through rates. And that we're not just putting this up here as a flashy sales pitch. It's truly happening. And it's really what we're most proud of at HomeBot and how we build foundational value for you, right? Is that people are looking at this report, people are interacting with it. In terms of the business value that sort of provides to agents, it's really all about listings in HomeBot right now, right? And we've been conditioned in real estate to think about a listings lead as someone who's going to sell their house in the next 3 months because that's the listings leads we've bought online. But really, any property owner is a listings lead. It's just when they're going to sell their house, right? Whether that's 3 months from now or 3 years from now. And the best way, right, to secure that listing in the future is staying connected to that homeowner. And the best way you can do that is serving them and building confidence with them throughout that process of them owning the home, appreciating equity, fixing it up, maybe not, right? And selling it ultimately because they either need to for a life reason or want to for a financial reason. And we talk about ninja selling a lot in real estate and ways to stay connected and ways to add value. HomeBot is going to find those fears, those questions, those calculations that your homeowner customers are doing in their heads, and they're going to serve them up to you, right? As sort of a warm lead, as sort of a warm conversation between you and your past customer to keep all those listings moving towards you. So that's really the first foundational piece of value we build. The second is I told you about our engagement rate. And when people get used to receiving their HomeBot, And our actually, if you look over over 3 months, our capture rate jumps to like 75% of your database. When you get people used to receiving this, they stop going to Zillow. They stop going online to explore their options, whether that be, a real estate portal or a portal like Lending Tree or Nerd Wallet, where they're figuring out how to, manage their equity. And ultimately that leads them down a path to someone else's pipeline as well. So the second thing we do for you is just sort of dig a moat around your customers, right? Remember that your data is safe in HomeBot, and the only one who knows about activity there, right, is you. You're the only one who's connected to your account, and your lender partner has some visibility so that they can help you through those connection points with your customers. And just to sort of tie a bow on the value proposition here, right? If we look at the actual data in terms of what's happening, right, and how HomeBot can help you, in 2021, almost 10% of properties sold came from people who had purchased the home in the last 7 years. And I think if we look at 2022, that's going to narrow quite a bit, and that percentage is going to increase. We've seen unprecedented appreciation. I think who knows what's going to happen on the other end of this, but there's no doubt that we're at a high point, right, in terms of values and appreciation. They're going to keep probably going up in most markets, but who really knows? And most homeowners have a unique opportunity to sell right now. The purchase side is extremely competitive, and we'll show you how we lean into that at HomeBot. But understand that this is a growing pool of listings, and it's going to be from people who you've recently done business with. And so if you get them into HomeBot, again, it's just going to help you identify all those listings coming up and all those pre-listings, right? All those questions that can get you closer to that homeowner again, that person you helped as a buyer 5 years ago, so that they don't go somewhere else when it's time to sell their home. The other thing that I just like to call out in terms of data is we know that between 5 and 8, sometimes 10% of people are selling their homes in each zip code in America every single year. So I've seen agents who are incredibly successful just focusing on farming, focusing on getting to those listings, focusing on getting to those homeowners, and really, rather than aggregating a ton of buyers where they can't really put them into property right now, going the other way and farming for homeowners, increasing their back pocket inventory. That's going to build a really solid foundation for your real estate business over the next 2 years. So HomeBot really helps in this market today, and it's all about capturing and winning every listing in your farm, whether that's someone you did business with in the past or someone you meet on the street or at an open house. So let's get into it. That's the end of the sales pitch. We're going to show you exactly what your customers will get from you now, and also, talk about some best practice and what you can do. Unless, Tyler, is there any questions that are worth addressing in the chat?
Not quite yet. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in that chat.
Cool. So this is the HomeBot email that we send out once a month. You'll notice there's really nothing flashy here. It's branded to Wendy, the fictitious real estate agent. That's my demo account. But in your case, it'd be branded to you. And it has the property address in the subject heading. And when we talk about that 50% engagement rate, that's 50% of your customers clicking on this button. And really the meat and potatoes of the experience and why people are clicking on that lies in the HomeBot Digest itself, which is what we're looking at here. And if we think about a HomeBot Digest, we try to structure it like a story, right? Where, again, we're pulling in all that different data from all those different sources, but we're starting with something that's the least complex and going down to something that's the most complex in terms of educating your customer through that experience. So we start with home value, and our AVMs come from Black Knight, aka Paragon. AVMs right now are tricky. I'm just going to call that out. But our theory, right, is the way we position this is more important than the actual accuracy in the number. And I'll explain to you why we believe that to be true, right? Someone could go to Realtor.com, someone could go to Zillow, someone could go to 30 different places online to figure out what their home is worth. Guarantee you the number that they find online is going to be very similar to what HomeBot is displaying here. But the way HomeBot displays it, we're actually going to allow people to come in here and change their value. So they can drag this number up or down based on what they think as a homeowner, right? Your customer is going through this process. They're going to defend number that they set. Oh, silly HomeBot didn't know that I put on an addition. I added a half bath along with that bedroom, and I'm at 5,500 square feet now. And that's why I think my home is worth $1 million. Also, I upgraded all these things. I replaced the floors, I put new siding, new roof, all these different things, right? And then HomeBot is going to tell that homeowner, congratulations, your home is worth whatever you think it's worth. But on the back end, right, I, as a HomeBot realtor, received an email and a text message from HomeBot saying, hey, you need to go in here and provide a CMA to this customer. And that kind of pattern repeats itself throughout here, right? We're presenting a number to your customer. We're allowing them to either adjust it, like run their own calculation, or learn more about that number. And then we're introducing you so that you can handle the final answer there and you can handle that conversation with your customer. Again, just finding those opportunities to bring you closer to your homeowners and really add value for them, which is the foundations of a lot of these sales trainings we hear about, Ninja, Buffini, all that, right? Now, I just want to sort of pause on home value because we understand at HomeBot that this is a really important data point for real estate agents, right? Nobody wants to call anyone's baby ugly. And you as a real estate agent probably have some anxiety about putting a number in front of someone that may not be accurate. And I'm going to tell you right now, right, setting the expectation with you, that even when HomeBot is the most accurate it ever has been, it's going to be a few $1,000s off the actual value. And again, that is an opportunity. It's not a threat, right? If you set the right expectations with your customers, and we'll go through how you should do that, to tell them, listen, this is just an approximation. They're using rough data, and that's true for the AVM. It's true for everything in here. And that they should adjust these numbers or reach out to you, and you can go in and make that home value exactly accurate to that homeowner, right? That's how you interact with your customers here, right? That's how HomeBot serves as a stepping stone towards their final answer, but is not the final answer. So understand our AVM is competitive with every other AVM out there, but also understand it is going to be inaccurate. And that one of the primary ways I see agents generate listings off of HomeBot is finding those opportunities to provide CMAs to their customers, coming by and visiting, and maybe getting a listing appointment out of that. The other way that we see a ton of agents generate listings opportunities is in this market panel. And this is basically tracking a zip code from the seller's point of view. So they're going to be able to come in here and see how their neighborhood is trending, right? And look at rough inventory in their zip code within 3 miles of their home and what that inventory looks like, and from a house size perspective. They can actually pivot here to just look at their price bracket too. And you'll see when I clicked on that, this whole curve jumped basically up a quartile, and now there's only 4 homes available in that luxury price point, and here's what they look like in terms of size. Suppose that's compelling to me, right? Wow, there's only 4 other homes for sale. Like, this is probably a good time to sell my home. I'm going to lean into that a little bit, right? And HomeBot's going to tease out the 3 data points we think are important to consider for a seller: appreciation, the equity position they've built, and the relative demand in their market. So people can come in here and understand, how their home's appreciated and how that would pan out if it projected forward. We're not showing them the last year, we're showing them the average over 4. We're going to show them their equity position and the fact that if they sold high and maybe moved to an emerging market or downsized a little bit, and we're able to put down 10%, maybe not 20%, like, yes, your monthly payment is going to go up because you refied, because you're pretty stable right now. But look at that. You can make over $250,000 in equity right now. And what could you do with that? And also being able to step in here and educate people that, listen, you refied last year, these things come in waves. Eventually you'll be able to refi again and get that monthly payment down, right? And this is an opportunity to find those people that are doing the math but are afraid, because it is what it is, right? Things are crazy competitive right now as a buyer. It's hard to say to someone who owns a nice house, yeah, you can sell your house and we'll go get you another one, right? Because you have to call out the truth in the market, and that it's competitive and that rates are higher. Their monthly payment's probably going to go up a little bit if they want to get as nice of a house. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't consider this as an option because of the immense amount of equity that's locked up in home equity, immense amount of cash that's locked up in home equity right now. So as people play with this, right, you're going to have multiple opportunities to engage them. So HomeBot is consistently branding you throughout this experience, right? So this would be your information. And as your customers click on these buttons, they generate inbound messages right into your text and email inbox. So, Wendy would have just received a question from her customer saying, should I sell now? The other thing we're doing constantly is as people come in here and play around with these different calculators and educational experiences, we're following them, right? And we're telling you, hey, this person opened the market panel and did an equity calculation, right? And did a buy sell calculation. So that again, who's activated right now, who's doing the numbers in their head. And that's a really powerful prospecting tool. Again, go back to Ninja, go back to the principles of adding value for your customers and finding those people that are in that space of doing the math and considering these options is going to allow you to quickly interject. The other thing I always like to point out here is that, again, the same thing holds true for AVM as all the rest of this data. You can see the selling fees are high. You can see the assumed down payment is high, right? And, that's a good thing. We're being conservative so that you can always beat the numbers that are provided in HomeBot, right? This person, their financial background, or your LO does. You're going to be able to come in here and make a much more pointed value proposition to this person around selling and buying. It's going to look more attractive to them than what they saw in HomeBot. And what they saw in HomeBot was attractive enough to sort of spur a thought. So again, I always like to just center people on that. Our goal is not to automate these conversations for you. Our goal is to basically serve it up to you and allow you to take it from there and put that person in their final seat, right, in the theater, right? We get them in the aisle, we get them in the right section for you. You have to take them to their seat. You have to run the final numbers with them. And really that's the opportunity here, is to help people get closer to that transaction, to build confidence, because we know the people who transact are educated, they're confident, and that creates action. Right now, everyone's afraid, everyone's locked up. That doesn't do anything to free up transactions for you, right? And HomeBot kind of runs behind you and allows these opportunities to be brought forward to you so that you can turn them into motivation and transactions. The rest of this report is really financially driven. So we show the equity position, right? And people love counting the gold, right? They love seeing how, as their home appreciates, their equity goes up, right? That potentially liquid asset. We also show them how to manage that equity, right? And save interest. And right now, with rates where they are, not a ton of opportunity to refi. But when rates come down, a lot of these numbers will turn green again. And even in certain scenarios, people could save money in a refi today, right? Looks like if I drag this out to 18 years here, well, I could actually save some money if I did a 15-year fix, a term reduction, right? And here you're going to see the branding is a little bit different, right? You're going to see Wendy, the agent. You're also going to see Jay, the loan officer. I'm not an actual loan officer, but I have an account in HomeBot, so I show up as one. And this is how the co-branding works, right? So when you sign up for HomeBot as an agent, you get your own account, you load your own data, you own all the data in your account, right? HomeBot doesn't own it, your LO doesn't own it. They don't have access to your account or any of the people in your account to contact them, but they are investing in you, right? You're paying $25 a month and your loan officer is contributing as well, an equivalent RESPA contribution, so that this is all compliant and they're supporting you. And they, again, don't have any way to contact your customers, but your customers can contact them. So if they were to reach out here and say, get your rate, both of you would receive a notification. The notification you as the agent would receive is a little bit different than the LO, right? You're going to get that person's full profile. You're going to get their contact info. If it's Tyler, the customer who's reaching out, and he's Wendy's customer and I'm supporting LO, Wendy's going to get Tyler's full profile, full information, full activity. I, as Wendy's loan officer, am just going to see Tyler M has a question about refi or has a question about pre-qual, right? And so I, as the loan officer, still have to work through my agent to get in touch with Tyler and make sure that, Tyler gets the information he's needing, right? So there's still that dividing line here between your customers and your LO, right? The LO still needs to pick up the phone and call you to get in touch with your customer and to handle this question. And if this is a relationship from another loan officer that you have to respect, absolutely your prime LO is going to respect that. But this is co-branded and it is co-marketed. And that's because, your LOs are investing a significant amount of time and money here on your behalf. Are there any questions about how that co-branding works? Nothing in the chat?
Yeah, we're all good here.
Cool. Well, I always like to bring it up because, you're going to see it. And, typically there are some questions or concern there. So I always like to address it. I see it as a benefit, right? Agents are out in the field a lot of the time. And by being attached here, your loan officers can alert you when the questions come in because they're in the loop. Say, hey, Tyler, make sure we get back to that customer you had. They had a question about cash out or they had a question about pre-qual. The other thing is, right, you're showing up as a team here. So you can lean on your LO to provide compliant, sounded financial advice, just like they're going to lean on you to provide CMAs, to provide market advice, for their customers and your shared customers as well. So it just works better when you have an LO and an agent together here because there's financial content and then there's market content. And really, the right person should speak to all those different questions. Going down through this report, right, past the refi, we show people how they could purchase. And again, this is in the context of their their asset, right, the equity that they've built up. And there's opportunities here for these homeowners to see what they could afford in these different purchase scenarios, right? Buying an investment property, renting and buying again. And if they click this Start Your Search button, they're going to be brought into HomeBot for Buyers, where they can see a financial view of their market and understand for $600,000, what zip codes are going to be insanely competitive like this one, and where am I going to have a little more wiggle room. And you can see if I change the price bracket here, how these numbers change, right? If I go up to $1 million instead, these numbers all shift a little bit. Those highly competitive zip codes drop down a little bit in competition. And your customers can do their own debt to income calculation here. Again, they can request a pre-qual from your co-sponsored lender. They can understand not only competition, but where there's going to be bigger or smaller houses for their money, relative affordability, how long it's going to take them to move. And when they click into specific zip codes, they're going to see seasonality here. They're going to see relative inventory, what the average home looks like. So there's a lot of tools here for buyers as well. And primarily the people who find their way to the buyer side of HomeBot are going to be homeowners who then activate this experience for themselves when they're interested in purchasing again. I'm lagging a little bit, but you can also use this with first-time buyers too, right? Renters who are saving for a down payment or are kind of figuring out whether they want to be in the market or out of it, or maybe they were looking at homes actively and now they are kind of just waiting a little bit, right? Because it was so competitive, they're gonna wait and see if their financial situation improves. All those people you can just set up on HomeBot for Buyers as a standalone. They don't need to own property to get that report. And it's a great resource for them too. We're also going to show people other ways to use their equity, and we're going to show them how much they could rent their home for. So a lot of other data baked into here. And in total, there's about, looks like I'm having some lag here, but in total, there's about 28 different opportunities for them to engage with this report and engage with you in the process. So any questions that came up about the HomeBot report before we move on to what you're going to see in your account and some best practice around that?
Yeah, Lisa just has a question about pricing, but you will get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, and I think, Lisa, your question is more about buyers waiting for prices to come down, rates to come down,
Or that, yeah, my bad.
no, it's all good. Or property values to come down. Probably going to be waiting for a while, right? But HomeBot is an experience where you can show that to people, right? If we go into that buyer's report, actually, this is a really interesting thing I always like to show when that question comes up. As these people add zip codes to their buyer's report, we're going to show them like how much home they can afford. And look at this, right? For all those people who said, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. Look at their purchase power, back in May of 2021 versus now, right? It's $250,000 difference. So this is a pretty powerful graph to show. And what we're showing here is just like interest rates and how that affects, their purchase power. And obviously with rates being high and property values being high, it's a tough spot. But again, we can educate people through that experience, and we can create, velocity there. And ultimately, the way we get people to stop waiting is to educate them. And the problem is that a lot of times it's hard to find those people who are ready to be educated. And again, this perfect transition in what I want to talk about now, which is how you interact as an agent with HomeBot. And you're going to be able to see in your account, how it's performing and who's interacting. So at the top, you're going to see, how is my account performing at a high level? You'll notice that my click-through rate's pretty low. That's because everyone in my account is either an agent or an LO. So they're not very interested in their HomeBot report compared to how your customers will be interested in here. And it's still 40%. It's not bad. We're also going to show you, right, who's been active recently. And again, this isn't like HomeBot converting the lead. Remember, we just send one email a month. So if you see someone in here 3 times in a month, it's because they keep coming back to it. Something keep catching their eye. And we're going to show you what they've been looking at, right? So you can see what are the things that this person might be contemplating. You could always also just pop in here and take a look at their HomeBot report and kind of try to adopt their mindset and understand, okay, what do I think is catching their eye, or what's something that I can advise them on? Oh, wow, Robert, your home's worth a ton of money, right? You have a huge equity position. Maybe it's time to think about an investment purchase, right? Things are crazy competitive, but there really are opportunities out there for investors like you, right? And you can kind of use that HomeBot report as your call script, because that is the shared experience here, right? And I just want to call something out again, just like AVM, because I think it's important to set the right expectation with you guys going into this. These people don't know that you're watching what they're doing here. So I would never call Daniel and say, hey, I see, you were looking at listings. Sean, I saw you looked at 2 listings in HomeBot. Are you ready to buy? That's going to creep people out. They just think that they're playing with this tool that you gave them. So I always recommend you sort of softball it, right? You call Sean, you say, hey, Sean, how do you like that HomeBot report that you get from me every month? You know that Sean is going to say, oh, I love it. Or, oh, I was just looking at the other day and the home value seemed a little off, but I was looking at listings. I can't believe how expensive things are right now, right? That's an easy icebreaker. And again, remember that the shared experience you have with these people is that you're giving them HomeBot and they're looking at it. And what's cool is we just went through the report. How many topics are there in there that you can educate those people, that you can add value? And again, use these signals as those topics that they might be interested in. So don't lead with that, but lead them towards it. And that's where you're going to find the opportunities to help these people. I got a question from Mr. or Mrs. Flowers. What's the average times per month you see customers going into HomeBot? So on average, more than half of your database will come into HomeBot and interact in a specific way. But typically what we say is at least 10% of your database will show up in this activity feed or send you a direct message. So if you load in 100 people, 10 people should have more than sort of 3 or 4 interactions here, and or should request a CMA or should ask you a question. So that map generally holds. It's like 70 to 80% of your database should open those emails every month. 50% to 60% of your database should click in and view their HomeBot. And even that is worth a call sometimes. And then usually around 10%, sometimes more, sometimes a little less month to month, are going to bounce back to you as, you know, an opportunity to connect here. It's a great question. And I love that you're diving deeper into that. Christina, I saw you had a question about buyers. No, it does not require an address. So you can add people just with an email, a zip code, and we'll go through that, how you add folks to HomeBot. But it is not required that everyone you put in here has a home address. The other thing I always like to call out here, we talked about farming, right? And getting more homeowners into your database, into your sphere. 1 out of 10 people you call here might be listing in the next year, if we're lucky, right, as agents. The rest of those 9, you did your job as a salesperson. You helped them, you connected with them, you brought them closer to you. What can you ask them for? Well, the best thing is a referral. And I always like to do this in the context of HomeBot to show you guys what that referral can mean for these people that you're calling in the context of HomeBot. So if I go back to the main report and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a share button here. So anyone who receives HomeBot from you can give HomeBot away to their neighbor, family member, or friend. And don't you think it's a pretty easy ask to call Sean, who likes his HomeBot report, help him through a question that he has, and then say, hey, I'm glad you like HomeBot. Just so you know, you have the ability to give this to anyone who owns a house if you think anyone would like getting it. And I'm just here to sort of share this tool and answer questions, right? I'm never going to solicit anyone. In fact, I have a promotion, a program I'm trying to run right now. For everyone who shares HomeBot, I'll make a $25 donation in your name, right? And I've seen agents do that and generate 20, 30, even 40 referrals. Get like 5 of their past customers who are obsessed with HomeBot and just love this thing. To share it out with people that they know. Because think about it, it's not me saying, hey, you got to talk to my real estate agent, you know, they're the best, they're going to take care of you. The only way that's going to work out is if they're ready to think about starting to pursue a transaction. It's me saying, hey, I get this really cool report from my real estate agent. I think you'd like it too. So they share it out, that friend signs up. And don't you think that's an easy follow-up call for you to make on a referral too? You're not selling yourself, why they should work with you. You're just saying, hey, I'm glad you got that HomeBot report. Just so you know, a lot of that data is approximations. They get the home value wrong a lot. So, you know, if you wanted, I'd always be happy to come out, do a CMA for you, adjust that report to be 100% accurate, and talk you through the different options that you see there if you ever have questions. That's an easy follow-up call for a referral, right? You're not selling anything. You're just showing up as someone who's helpful. So I always like to point that out because I think it's important, right? If there's not a transaction here, there could be a referral, and HomeBot makes it really easy to do that. A few more questions I'm seeing pop in. Are emails sent on a specific date? No, they're rolling. So as you put people in here, these emails go out once a month to all the people in your database. The time of day that they're delivered is subject to change, right? So we figure out when people are most likely to open it, and we send it based on that time. So for instance, for some reason on Tuesdays, people like opening emails at night. On Saturdays, people like opening them a little later in the morning, right? So we have kind of a rolling queue, and depending on when this person's up, right? Okay, it's been a month since they received it. We're gonna send it to them. We're gonna find the best time of day to send it to them. And again, you're gonna keep, you're going to be looped in here, not only via the activity feed, but if I pop into my HomeBot email here and I search leads, you know, once a week, you'll get an email from HomeBot that shows you your most active customers in HomeBot. You'll see Mr. Bruce Brown from PrimeLending is right at the top here always, because he's out there talking to you all about how great this tool is. Now, I'm seeing another question in here that says, can someone enter multiple properties? And the answer is absolutely. And this is kind of another hidden use case of HomeBots. For those investor clients, you can come in here and kind of treat it like a portfolio manager. So your customers can actually add their own homes. I've seen customers add their parents' homes, their children's homes, right? And when you add multiple properties, we'll consolidate them into one view within the report, but they'll get multiple emails for each property. Great question. Any other questions I'm seeing here? Can you sign up people in groups? Yes, absolutely. We'll get into the upload process. I'm on LO. 10% engagement, nothing handle questions. Yes. So we see some fear that this is going to create too much inbound, right? How am I going to be able to handle that if I've been in this business 20, 30 years? So 10% of your customers are not going to be banging down your door here. I may have set the wrong expectation here. You'll get a handful of questions that you need to answer, right? People that are direct messaging you, but at least 10% of your database should show up as active, as in they're digging through this thing. What you do with that activity is up to you and your volume and how busy you are as an agent or an LO here. That's another good question. I've never really seen that. It's like, I'm afraid of too many leads. Clearly, whoever asked that question has got a good thing going on. But yeah, not 10% who are sending you an email and pinging you as a result of this. Just 10% in some sort of activated state like this, where Daniel isn't sending me anything. He's not asking me a question, but he's certainly active in his HomeBot report. And if I called him, I could probably start a good conversation with him. So let's get into sort of next steps here. We're rounding out our time for today. Via your PrimeLending loan officer, you can get a free account. So I recommend that is the first step everyone takes coming out of this call. Sign up for your free trial under your agent or under your PrimeLending loan officer. That account's going to stay free for up to 25 contacts in there. So you can get started really get going and test it out. I think the first thing you should do in that free account is come in here and add yourself, right? Put in your name, your email, put in your property address. Whoops, accidentally went back there. And if you wanted to, you can put in more data. You don't need to. All we need is name, email, and address. Send it to yourself. You're going to get a good sense for the product that way. And then if you want to, start adding a few other people to test it out. We got the question, can you add people in groups? So you can load lists into here. Again, all we need is first name, last name, and email as a buyer. And then for a homeowner, first name, last name, email, and property address. And that is going to allow you to load up to 500 people, but this is only available in the paid version of the account. So the free account, you can add yourself for free, you can add your friends for free, you can add a few customers for free. It's free up to 25 people in there to an agent. Once you're ready to load your whole database, you want to upgrade your account. We have a code for you at PrimeLending that's going to cover $50. So your first 2 months are going to be free, and then you can load your full database in here. That's a lot of steps. So I'm just going to recap it again. Get started for free. It costs you and your loan officer nothing. Test it out. Get a report from yourself for free. I see a question from Lisa. We should be able to add ourselves for free. You are able to add yourself for free. You're able to add 24 other people for free as well. Once you want to go all in with your full database here, right? That's really not going to generate a ton of business for you with 25 people, right? We did the math. 10% of 25 is 2.5. You want to get your full database in here to really take advantage of this opportunity. Once you want to do that, upgrade your account, use that code to cover your first 2 months for free, and then load your full list in here. The other two things I recommend you do when you load and when you get going is come in here and update your welcome email. So all your customers are going to get an email from you before they get their first report that shows them, what this HomeBot thing is. You have the ability to completely rewrite this. HomeBot's going to put something in there so that if you don't get to it, they get some sort of notice. but you have the ability here to completely change that text and introduce this the way you want to. You also have the ability in your HomeBot account to add videos, right? We saw videos throughout that HomeBot report. You can replace all that content with your own, but I think the most important is this homeowner intro video. And that's basically going to be a video that's waiting for all of your customers the first time they come into their HomeBot report. So I recommend every agent comes into their account, goes to customize videos, and records a welcome for their customers. And that's, again, just a great expectation setting opportunity with your customers. Hey, this is a cool tool. This is a really useful thing, but not all the numbers are perfect. I can make them perfect. Reach out to me, right? In more words, but that's the gist that you want to communicate. Stephanie asks, what's the max number of contacts in a full account? You aren't capped. So when you pay $25 a month for that full version, that's for up to 500 contacts in your account. If you want to buy more, it's $10 more per additional 500 contacts. So for 2,000 contacts in HomeBot, costs you $55 a month, but you might need to hire an assistant, like that question we got earlier. Your LO is also contributing. As soon as you upgrade into that paid license, they're covering their portion of the fee, so that we're RESPA compliant. So they're investing on your behalf. You're all going to get a follow-up email with my contact information, that discount code, these steps, how to edit your welcome email, how to load your clients, all that stuff. But I'll call them out right now if you guys want to just run right after this call and go do it. So the discount code is Prime Agent, all lowercase, one word. I just put it in the chat. My contact info is j@homebot.ai. So if you have questions or need help, if you're a loan officer or an agent, please shoot me a note. This recording will be available to you all in that follow-up video, and we're going to get it into Mo Knows for your loan officer partners, so they'll have access to it. You can come back to it. And we're going to be running a lot of other training in the future, right? Dedicated prospecting workshops, how to market online, how to share HomeBot at open houses, right? We didn't even get into this today. We have landing pages that you can use at open houses and events to just give away HomeBot to people, right, and farm. We're going to have video workshops as well. So there's a ton more baked into this tool, but I didn't want to cover too much ground today. I'll just give you all an intro, how to think about this thing, how to get started. And, you know, I hope you all take advantage of this opportunity, at least to get that free trial and really think about, you know, how could I work this into my business? Because it solves a core problem in real estate today. It brings more listings to you. It brings you closer to homeowners and inventory as a result. So consider this. There's no risk to get started. And we will, myself, your PrimeLending loan officer, will support you through this process moving forward. And yes, Jenna, clients pay $0. This is completely free to homeowners and buyers and contacts. Yeah, we don't monetize our platform for them. I'm going to hang out until the top of the hour. We're over our time. But if there are questions, let's get into them. Again, I know that I tease y'all here with this. The most common use case we see for this landing page is at an open house, right? People who walk through the door without an agent. They might be a nosy neighbor. They might be buyers. They might just be walking their dog and pop in. You know, this is a great opportunity to get them something of value when you're back in the office after that open house. Call them up. Hey, I see you signed up for your HomeBot. How's it look? You know, I'm looking at the value for your property. I think that's a little low. Or, you know, I'd love to understand what you've done to the house. Maybe we can get more for your house. Or maybe I should update that number for you so it's more accurate, right? You get the idea. You can use this at HOA meetings, you know, golf course, really anywhere you are, and you come into contact with someone who wants to talk real estate, you should give them a HomeBot. And we have a landing page for homeowners. We also have one for buyers. Any other questions, please put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A. David asks, is the LO charged for over 500 clients? The answer is no. So if you have a super agent, they're loading data, all kinds of data. No, you are not. The other question I commonly get around data with LOs and agents is, well, I have customers in my account from my borrowers, and the agent has a lot of the same customers. Are they going to get two? The answer is no. As soon as the agent loads their contacts in, we find those shared customers and we flip them over to receive the co-branded version of HomeBot from your agent. So if I go to my homeowners here, you'll see they're all listed out. And then in the far right, there's a shared clients list. I don't have any because all my agents in my account are fake. I don't have any shared customers with them, but you will have shared customers here. And once they're in the agent's account, they'll just get it from the agent. Lisa says agents need to load their customers before competing agents do. Yeah, depending on the market you are in. HomeBot is growing really fast right now, and we do our best to get to our enterprise partners, and Prime's one of them first, right? But we are growing very quickly, and again, we don't. This is not a pay-to-play platform. Meaning, it's not like Zillow where the person who writes the biggest check gets the lead. If two homeowners are entered into two different HomeBot accounts, they're going to get two reports, right? There's no exclusivity in our platform. There's no buying of areas, zip codes, buying of contacts, which means that, yeah, you need to get your database in here so that, if somehow they go to an open house and one of your competing agents has their landing page open, they say, oh, no, thanks. I already get a HomeBot from my agent, right? Again, I'm not trying to bully or threaten anyone with saying that. It's just that we are growing very quickly, especially in the Rocky Mountain area, California, Pacific Northwest, starting to in the Northeast and the Midwest and the Southeast as well, but those are our hottest markets. Loving the chat, guys. This is great. Great commentary from current customers and users. Again, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat or pop them into the Q&A. We will do our best to follow up with you here within 24 hours. I'm on the road right now. You probably can't tell because I'm blurred out, but I'm in a hotel room. So it's going to take me about 24 hours to get that follow-up email out to you with the recording and all the info. So if you need help in the meantime, please go to your Prime LO. And Prime LOs, if you need help, please shoot me an email or Mia an email, and we will get you help. Putting Mia's contact info there as well. And your team at PrimeLending is always here to support you as well. If you reach out to Joseph or Bruce or anyone on your training team, they'll be able to get you to the right person at HomeBot. All right. We're almost at the top of the hour, 6 more minutes here. Are we able to enter the agent's database for them? No, but I know that if you're a loan officer, you have, for all of your past customers, the buyer's agent tagged. So one strategy that I've really seen, and again, for those agents and LOs on the hook, now I'm going to put this out here, you're going to have to do it. You can export, right, the list of all the deals you've done with an agent and shoot it to that agent, and the agent can just come in here and load those clients in bulk, right, and get started right away with your shared customers to test it out. So there's no way for you to load clients directly into the agent's account. That's because of our data privacy rules, right? Like your data in your account is yours, your agent's data in their account is theirs. There's a few ways to pass leads back and forth via the platform, but we don't have a way that we figured out for you to load data directly into your agent's account that's compliant yet, and vice versa. So while we work on that, you guys can absolutely pass a list to your agent to load into their HomeBot account, but you can't do it directly through the tool. Awesome. We're getting some shouts out in the chat. I love it. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to look at this product with us. We're really, really excited. And, we think the time is now to jump into this thing and really take the purchase season by storm. So thank you for the praise in the chat. Thank you for investing in your business yourself and giving us a little bit of your time to do that. And we're going to hang out here again for a few minutes till the top of the hour, but feel free to drop out of there here if you don't have any active questions. And we appreciate your time. Awesome. I love this. You guys we've got some awesome real estate agents in the group today, thanking their LOs. This is a good group. You guys are going to be really successful. Any other questions, please do pop them in there. I will address them. And this won't be the last time you hear from Jay at HomeBot or Tyler from HomeBot. We'll be out in the field with you all, helping you figure out how to use this thing. All right. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm going to start answering my emails, which are stacking up here. All right, guys. I'm not seeing much activity. I think I'm going to end the webinar now. Thank you all again for sticking with us and asking questions and being active. Pop my info in here one last time. If you have questions, you can reach out privately. Otherwise, we will hear from you soon.